Now, not to bomb, we're diving headfirst into the culture war, social media madness, comedy controversy, and the dangerous reality of saying what you actually think in 2026. My guest tonight is Aaron Wexler. She's built a massive following by doing something most people are terrified to do, speaking openly, unapologetically, and taking the heat when it comes. And whether you agree or you don't agree, one thing is undeniable. People are starving for honesty right now. Tonight, we're talking about the cancel culture and why everybody suddenly seems offended by everything you say, why people are feeling disconnected than ever, whether comedy is still allowed to be dangerous, and what really happens when the internet turns on you. This isn't safe corporate interview. This is by no means a safe interview. This isn't PR approved nonsense, and this is definitely not a fake podcast. And if you know me, you know that I don't fake anything at all ever. This is how not to bomb. This is the truth. We always speak the truth. And right now, I think in this world, in this society, that's one thing that is lacking is the truth. So right now, without further ado, I'm going to let in Aaron Wexler to the studio. I appreciate her being here. And here she comes.
Hi
There
there.
she is. How are you?
I'm great. Thank God. How are you?
Good. Let me do a nice screen, lady. I was just doing a little
There we
thing
go.
on you. Did you? I don't know if you heard that or not. Did you? You did a
No,
little
I
thing.
I just ran on here from something else, so I wasn't able to hear it.
Well, you're always so busy though. Like you just don't stop.
No,
Like
that's
you
right.
just, you really just don't. I don't know how you do it. I mean, you're like, I mean, I kind of get it. I'm a one man band when it comes to my world and my life and my business. But how do you handle what you're doing? I mean, we met in Florida. We met at Boca,
Yeah.
and you were performing to, I think it was two or three sold out shows at the Boca Black Box, and you attract an interesting audience. And we got to
Thank
talk
you.
that, and we got to talk that night. We got to be friends and comedy brought us together. We just happened to be on the same wing. Let's say.
That's right. That's right.
So
I remember it was the highlight of the night. We had a really nice chat in the green room.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, if you want to know the psyche of why I do things and why I'm always busy, I'm sure it would take a lot of time to unpack, but I'm excited. You know, what's funny is I was thinking
Well,
about when we
yeah.
met, and there was a very fun bomb, I could say, from that night, but I'll let you guide the conversation to get us there.
Well, and that's what I want to know. So you've been doing comedy how long now? In stand up. I don't want now not what you're doing as far as in your other world, but
Yeah.
stand up. I always say stand up is separate than everything else, but it brings everything together. So in the world of stand up, you started comedy how long ago? And how was that journey and how is that journey so far, really?
So I was told I shouldn't tell people. I'm going to tell you though, obviously, but
Okay.
I
Yeah.
was told by many people, not
Right. Well,
like
you
agents or managers or anything, just like people in the space, they have said to me, "Don't tell anyone how long you've been doing this,"
okay?
because I only did my first set. I got up on stage and held the mic in September. So it has
Wow.
been 8 months, not even, not even 8 months
Not
since I did my first set.
I got to be honest with you, Aaron. I really, I'm doing comedy a long time, 38 years. And when I watch your set and when I watch you on stage now, I would never think 8 months. And to be quite honest with
Thank
you, I'm
you.
being honest. I have nothing to win or lose here to tell you the God's on it. And you know I speak the truth.
I know you do. I know.
8 months is not fathomable. But I think really, and I think you shouldn't say how long you've been in, other than tonight, and that's fine. But you know, you're very polished. You're very in control of what you're doing. It seems like you're intimidating, to be honest with you. I think, do people find you intimidating?
Yes, that's a word I've heard used before when talking about me. It's
Now, how
actually it's
is that?
something I'm working on. It's like I'm trying to figure out how to not I mean, I am who I am, right? We are who we are, but how do I show the part of me that's softer, more vulnerable, that makes people open and not afraid of who I am
Right.
standing on the stage? Because the feedback I always get from people is that I'm very confident on stage as well.
Well, no, that's a good thing. I like the confidence. I think that I don't. I'm not talking about on stage. I got to tell you, I've had a couple of podcasts. I've had some very successful people on my show. I was actually a little nervous to wanting to talk to you tonight. To be honest
Really?
with you,
You shouldn't be
yeah, I got to be.
nervous.
No, I'm not that I'm nervous. I shouldn't say that in a bad. And I don't mean that in a negative way. But I'm like, you are a very confident person, and you really know what you're saying, and you're really sharp at what you're saying. You don't hold back. So I'm like, well, she's fast. And I did get the name Wheels because I'm pretty fast myself. That's how I got the name. But you're quick. And I'm like, well, I mean, still got it in me. Let's see if we can pull this one off. And
I feel you'll be fine.
oh,
You'll
I
be
know.
fine because I like you.
Well, I'm very overconfident too. I know I'll be just fine. I just figured I'd say that. Humbled me out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. No, thank you. It's like, no, keep going. Like, can I hire you just like when I need some the confidence boost? Are you
How do
around?
you how do you deal with that in the social life when you're not on stage, when you're not in front of the media, when you're not on social media, and you just want to be yourself for the day, and you want to go out and just meet people and just be have a normal cup of coffee with some normal people without always trying to be on? How do you handle that?
It's a good question. What's funny is I think I've always been on, even when I
Okay.
wasn't doing this. But now even more so on because now I get recognized publicly everywhere. It's
Right.
becoming very frequent. So it's a very different life now for sure.
Yeah.
I was like eating a chicken salad when last time I was in LA, sitting on a bench somewhere between, I had to leave an Airbnb and then I was heading to a podcast and I had 45 minutes and I'm just like stuffing my face with a chicken salad and someone comes up to you and you're like, it's kind of awkward to like not to like always be on.
Right.
So the answer is doing like honestly not doing that in public. Like the way to be off is to be in private with friends that I already
And
know.
how do you handle that? And do you have friends that think and think the opposite of what you think?
Yes, I have a lot of friends on the other side of the aisle. I would say not like in the same way I'm not all the way on the right. I'm not
Right.
like a
Right.
neo-Nazi. Like I don't have friends who are leftists or Marxists. I don't do that. But, I have many liberal friends. I was just with a bunch of them over this weekend, and those friends are very supportive. They'll call me and they'll say, "Love how viral you're going. Hate what you're saying. Hate
Right.
it, but
Right.
love how you're doing."
But they still love you. See, that's great.
Yeah, and I love them, and we have a normal conversation. I mean, I'm from New York, and hence the Yankees hat. I'm a Yankees
Yeah.
girl, and I spent my whole life surrounded by liberals, and I understand them. I think that also my goal in a lot of my comedy is to make everyone laugh. My favorite person to make laugh is a skeptical liberal in the audience. And my
Yeah.
favorite position, if I guess some people watch this on video, some will listen to it, but my favorite is when they throw their hands up in the air and they're like, "Is
Right.
this is the concession that I
Right.
said something that you admit is true,
Right.
even though you hate that you're admitting that it's funny and that like the truth of that joke is getting to you." That's my favorite thing to do.
Well, in the world of comedy now, when I started comedy, everything was you could say whatever you wanted, pretty much. Nobody, we can go on stage and say, the guy's a fucking retard, and then we can get away with it. How do you
Yeah.
deal with the cancel culture now and the self censorship? Comedians are censoring, they're canceling other comedians who want to speak there. How do you handle that?
I'll break the illusion of the magic that we create for people a little bit of what happens because we go on stage and I'm sure your audience has heard you speak about this, but what we do is it's like we perform, right? And we're there to entertain and to make people feel good and to make them laugh. And we could have had the worst day ever, and you get up on that stage and it doesn't matter, and you're there
Right.
to make everyone feel good. And so it's not people's responsibility. Like, I mean, I think of it sort of as ballet. It's supposed to look effortless, but there's so much going into it.
Right.
And it's not for them to deal with the fact that there's a lot we have to do behind the scenes. And in my case in particular, coming from the right, having a very different having it's very different views than what most people have in comedy. I'd say there are less than a handful of us right now
Yeah,
that
very
are
much.
very just openly right wing. I could count like the few names I could think of on one hand, including
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
And I'm kicking down a lot of doors. And I'm in a good position where because I started with a strong social media and it's just been growing since I've been doing it's really stand up. Stand up has grown me more in the last 5 months than my account did for the 2 years I had it before then. But those numbers make me almost undeniable to almost every place.
Well, let me ask you this: before it happened and you popped, how did it feel when you went viral? When you knew that moment there was something going on, you felt it. There had to be a moment. There had to be that. Really? How did that feel? And then
You mean
how
like
did
the
it?
first time I went viral?
Yeah, when you went viral and you became like this, you became, went from one extreme to the other so quickly.
Yeah.
And, did you have a fear at that point? Did you say, wow, I mean, now a lot of people are following me, a lot of people are liking me, a lot of people are hating me? I mean, do you have a fear there? And how did it feel to you when you saw that? How did you prepare for it?
So it's not a life I ever expected. I was never the person. I was working in tech before this, and before that, I worked in finance. And when I was in tech, people would say things to me like, why don't you found a company? Because I was always the first business hire. And I would say, I don't want to be the face of it. Or like, I really loved politics. And I would say, I want to be the chief of staff, like the brains behind the president. I don't want to be the face. Like being the face of something was never, ever the goal.
Right.
Not even like the pipe dream. But I was always an ideologue. I was always who I am today, which is being the voice for other people. So I was the only outspoken Republican. We used to use that word before rhinos came along, but I was the only outspoken Republican in my prep school in New York City in middle school. So I was always the person that conservatives would come up
So
to
you've
and
always
voice.
been that way.
Yeah, I've always been that way. So all to say
Always been
that
that way. Okay,
I,
gotcha.
I started posting videos. I experimented on TikTok at the end of 2023, but I started in earnest January 2024. I quit my full-time job. I had basically 0 followers on Instagram. And I said, this is the time, because I'm not someone who cares about what people look like. When I just care about the
Right.
ideas. So it happens to be that almost everyone I was listening to at the time was a guy, and listen to like male podcasters, and that doesn't bother me. But I
Sure.
realized that there were some people who might need to see a what I've called myself liberal passing. Like, I'm liberal passing. I look like a girl that would vote for Kamala, but like that could have been me. And so I thought, let me show people that you don't have to be the Nashville blonde cowboy boots country
Right.
Republican. Like, if that's not your culture, that's okay. You could
Right.
be a city girl that, and at the time I would say, like, you could be a city girl that goes to Casa Cipriani and votes for Trump,
Right.
and like that was
I
the
mean,
goal.
you have this way about you. I've seen you out there shoot on the gun range shooting, packing it in your luggage, going across the country.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not just saying you do it. You do it. You just
Yes.
do it. You don't say you do it and then make believe. You're actually living the life you say you live when it comes to
Yes.
that. How do you handle the comments and the criticism? How do you handle the hate comments? I'm sure you get hate comments.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, and I guess, like, to finish answering your question, because I took us away a little bit, but the point was that it's because I did this for very ideological reasons. And I
Right.
didn't do it to be called pretty. And I didn't do it to become famous. I did it because I thought we were really at a juncture in time for our country where I was really afraid of where things were going, where it was like the pronouns police. So, like, there was a whole thing going on that really scared me. And so I did it for the idea that if I got 99 bad comments, which I didn't, it took a while for negative comments to come in. But if I got 99 negative comments, I did it for the one positive comment, for the one person that felt like it spoke to them. And
Right.
that's what made it. I don't even notice the negative comments. I laugh at them. I like just
Yeah,
don't
you
take it.
have to.
I just don't take myself. I take life seriously, but I just don't take myself seriously. And the first time I went viral, I mean, it's kind of like comedy, where I started posting, and within 3 weeks I had a very viral video, and the cat was out of the bag and everyone knew I was posting. And a month in, I was in the Daily Mail and Ben Shapiro was reacting to me, and like all these things happened very fast. It's just been this warm knife through butter. And then stand up was really that way, where I kind of accidentally wound up on the stage.
Right.
And I realized when I got on the stage the first time, it was not meant to be a career. And I got off that stage and my entire life was different. But
Okay.
to answer on the haters, like, I'm okay. I don't know. I've always had to be independent minded. I was the only Republican in my New York City prep school. And it doesn't mean it's easy, but
Right.
but it's easier than conforming to what I don't think is true, and to not I hate to say living my truth. It sounds so liberal, but like it's the easier path is to just be genuine and
Right.
to be who I am. So the haters,
That's
like,
interesting. Yeah,
that's fine.
you're handling it that way. I mean, with and you had mentioned earlier about podcasts, a lot of men doing podcasts and stuff like now. I think more women are doing podcasts now. But what you do, how do you, and not getting personal, but how do you handle, the social relationship scene, with a masculine male, or being, you're very, I would say you're very alpha in a sense. How do you handle that? Is that a clash? Do those collide?
No, I mean, I love men.
Yeah.
I'm not like the liberal feminist that despises men. I get along with men really well. I've always had, if a woman doesn't have female friends, she's problematic. I have lots of female friends, but I also have a lot of very close male friends.
Right.
And I mean, my whole life has been, growing up, I was in the math and science classes, like the honors classes. I was on the trading floor with mostly men out of school. I was in tech working with mostly male and autistic engineers and data scientists.
Yeah, yeah.
And now, I mean, it's something I'm comfortable with. And it's funny because something in comedy is like a lot of women love trashing men. And that is not
That's not
something that
you.
I do. That is not what I do.
No, but I'm saying in the dating world or the relationship world,
Mm,
are you? To me, you would seem like you like being with a masculine type of guy. You like to
yes.
have that same parallel thinking in a sense. It seems to.
Yeah. Well, I need someone who's strong enough to handle me.
Well, if that person was strong enough to handle you, and they happen to be a liberal, but not a extreme liberal, they just happen to be a good person, a
Yes.
Democrat who happens to be a good person who's not really too serious. Would that be somebody you would entertain with, or do you only stick with people of your own?
You know, it's funny you ask that because my entire adult life I've said I don't date liberals. I'm not looking to be in a lesbian relationship. But uh but I actually like pretty
That is fucking
recently
hilarious.
I pretty recently actually went out with a liberal. He was a really good guy, really thoughtful. I would say it was like I don't think he realizes that he probably identifies in more ways with the right than the left, but like he is a liberal. In the same way, like you could have Republicans, you could have conservatives who are not good people, and they're conservative for the wrong reasons. Like the thought process is not something I can respect, but still, you know, it's hard to think that like that you can't vote the right way and that like there's
Right.
something logically that's stopping you at that very end of that trail of thought versus like someone who might define themselves as independent or even they could even call themselves liberal, but I have liberal friends that voted for Donald Trump in 2024. Like to
Sure.
me, if you couldn't vote for Trump in 2024, that's really difficult and hard. I don't know that I could trust your values, you
Yeah,
know?
I agree with you there. I think
So
there has to be some medium. There has to be a happy
yeah.
medium. Yeah,
But
you
if you
had
were a
to vote
liberal
for
that
him.
voted for Trump, I would say now, I don't know, perhaps.
Right. How would you? How you couldn't? I couldn't. How can you be with a person who voted for Biden, or how can you be with a person who wanted to have Kamala in office? I
No,
mean, really? I mean, how can you live with that person and look at that person? There's no way.
exactly. How do you trust them to raise your children with that kind
Right.
of value system? So, yeah, the answer is generally no, but just because it's an obvious statement, but I don't think that just because someone's conservative makes them like a thoughtful or good person.
Are there things in the conservative world that you do not agree with?
Of course, there are many things, many
Are
things.
there? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think I would call myself conservative. The words on the right have really been twisted because we used to say
Right.
Republican and we stopped saying it because of the Rhino neocon movement that rose that MAGA turned against. There's a massive growing current right now on the right led by people like Tucker Carlson that is it's not just populism. I call it pro-life leftism, and I'm
Right.
not even convinced these people are truly pro-life. I think a lot of it is very performative religion. So there are a lot of things like that I disagree. I disagree with strategy. I've said many times, and I said this in the famous Hamptons meeting with Charlie Kirk and Bill Ackman, and this is the thing I disagreed with a lot with Charlie in that meeting, is I said, the way that the right talks about abortion and choice is unwise. It's like, why don't we do what the left does, which is move people along slowly? It's like right now you're trying to
Right.
convince someone that has no problem with abortion that plan B is evil and that like, IVF is wrong. I'm like, why don't we start with like, certainly we could all agree third trimester is horrific, like late term abortion, that's horrific. Why don't we start there?
Right.
And then you're saving some babies, saving some,
Right.
but like you'd rather save none than save
Right.
some, right? So
Right.
those are things like that I really clash with. And so I wouldn't say I'm conservative and I don't dress conservatively. I live like a pretty modern life. I would say I'm a common sense patriot
Right.
and that for my entire life that falls on the right.
That's a good word, common sense patriot. I think I'm going to fall into that category too. I
Yeah.
do, I do not agree with everything that's going on with the liberals, and I don't agree with most of what's going on with the Democrats. With Charlie Kirk, I did like Kirk. I didn't agree with the fact with the abortion. I also didn't agree with, he wanted the wife home pregnant with barefoot and raising the kids while, the man does everything and the man was in charge of the bills. And that I didn't agree with too much either. I'm not sure how you feel on that, but it wasn't a big thing with me.
Yeah. No, by the
And
way, just so you know, just to say I
yeah,
said this on Roseanne's pod, which is the trad wife movement. There's traditional marriage,
right,
I've grown up. I grew up in a religious Jewish community. I have cousins who are very religious, and I have lots of friends who are religious Christians, Jews, what have you. And That's what the right is pushing, especially online. It's trad wife is not the same as traditional, and trad
Right.
wife is conservative kink. It's
Right.
a sexual fantasy that they're pretending is something traditional and religious and spiritual. Maybe you could say that's spiritual for some people, but like in
Right.
general, it's
Yeah.
just, it's like a BDSM derivative.
Right.
And it's like the woman doesn't speak. She's barefoot in the kitchen. She's there to have sex, make you a sandwich, and have babies whenever you want. And like, that's fine. If you're into, like, that's totally fine. Just don't pretend that like this fake Norman Rockwell, like sexualized fantasy painting that you're creating is something like noble.
Right. I agree. I don't like and I like Kirk. I'm not a big fan of his wife. I have to be honest with you. Just there's something with her irks me a little bit. Reading about her past, things like that. Do you have any feelings towards that? And does that have you ever talked about her ever, or is it always about Charlie?
I've never talked about her, to be honest. I just think as like a grieving widow, I'm just gonna leave her alone, you know.
Okay,
But I do
gotcha.
think
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I think she definitely was different than what Charlie pushed about women, which is something that I brought up to him, which is like you
Right.
say that women should get married very young and stay at home, and like that's great when that's an option, but also like you married like a boss babe from New York City who was like older, many years older than you, and was approaching 30 when you met. She was living literally in New York City, running her own company. And she, and he obviously left Turning Point to her. So I just, I just don't even think it's a subject that like needs to be
Right.
addressed.
Yeah, you just feel one way. You feel like let it rest and see and just
Yeah, let it
let things
rest. Like
go.
what, we definitely don't need to drag a widow around and like whatever people think about her. Like, do I think she was involved in her husband's murder? I absolutely do not.
I do not.
I think she
No,
lost the love of her life and she's doing the best that she can.
I
Whether
do.
or not people agree with how she's doing it or like the way she comes across, I think she's doing the best she can.
Yeah, and you don't know what to believe anymore with social media too. You got to watch what's going on out there. They're very, we see things in the AI world and we can spot it, but there are things out there that are hard to spot, and they can make things up. They've been doing it for years, but it's
Mhm.
dangerous out there. How do you feel about the social media, and do you feel that people are disconnected now because of it? It's just a
Yeah.
it's a disconnect, don't you think?
There's definitely a disconnect. And I think about this with comedy. I recently got to go to a show in LA and it was nice to be a participant and not a performer.
Sure.
And I was watching Bill Burr and I was laughing so hard. And I thought to myself, like, because I haven't watched comedy in a long time. And honestly, I wasn't a big consumer of comedy before I started
Right.
doing this. I just like kind of, but the way I felt, I thought to myself, you'll never laugh like this and this hard watching the exact same clip from your phone. You
Right.
just won't.
It's
The
just a
only
different
way to
game.
experience this is in person with a crowd where the laughter bounces off the walls and off of each other and you're all feeding each other. And that's really missed. And I mean, we're starting to see people definitely revert back to low tech options. I think I just saw there was an ad showing the like iPod Shuffle. That was like
Yeah.
one of the first, right? It's like no screen time. Like
Right.
people
Right.
are
Right.
realizing that it's time to move away from that stuff. So I try to be conscious of that. Obviously, as someone that pushes social media, and my career obviously like really relies a lot on social media, but I try to make it productive and happy for the most part.
Is your phone just going crazy all day though, or how is it pretty much? Are you just hearing? Do you have notifications off and you just check it when you want? Or how's that work?
Yeah, I have my notifications off. Yeah, I don't get anything from Instagram, Twitter. I just check it when I open the
Yeah,
app, and there are
I'm the
things I'll
same.
miss. And it's, I've just had to resolve to the fact that I will miss some things, and if something's really important, someone will make sure I see it. Yeah, I was never the person that had unread text messages, and now I have hundreds that go unread. I've like had to change numbers. I have multiple
Sure.
numbers. Like it's a very different world now for me.
How is it when you're in New York and you're performing? Do you get New York is still to me the greatest city in the world. It is changing though, and I think that the current mayor we have is destroying the city.
Hmm.
But how do you feel as far as fear when you're walking around this city? How do you feel? Do you feel comfortable? Do you feel uncomfortable? What is your take on it? Because you're there more than I am.
Um, I mean, I feel safer now than I did when I left because when I used to live there, I think there's something different about being in that every day
Sure.
and being in the grind and being frustrated and getting taxed by New York and just and because I go in really short spurts, life is nicer. I will get Ubers more than I would if I were living there. Because when you're
Okay.
living there, it's unsustainable. You can't get Ubers. It's so expensive. But
Right.
when I'm
Yeah.
there for 3, 4 days, I avoid the subway as often as I can. So
Oh yeah.
and also some of that is just by having the balance of being in Florida, where I arrive in New York in a much better equilibrium state than when I was living there.
How do you feel about Mondami? What he's doing, Mondami? Do you feel that he's not going to? Do you think he'll play it out? Do you think he's going to end up getting out of there?
It's tough to know what he'll actually do because he's never really had a real job before. So it's a question of how smart the people are who funded for him to get in. The man is an anti-American Muslim.
100%.
And there is a concept called taqiyya in Islam, which is you're allowed to lie for jihad. And so this
Oh,
guy pretending to be progressive and pro LGBTQ plus I la 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 whatever, like that's all fake. The question is I mean, we'll just see how far he goes with it. But it's really sad. I'm a New Yorker. I was in New York on 9/11, and to watch the city, like I remember that. I remember going to my internship at Goldman. I worked at Goldman Sachs for my finance years, and I remember having a really hard time looking out the window at the gym there because it overlooked the memorial for the Twin
right.
Towers, and
Yeah.
it like we didn't go down there, and I'm glad the city rebuilt it, and now I go there and I don't think about it, which is like good and bad. But like that's how affected we were as New Yorkers, that in 2014 during my internship, it was difficult. I felt disgusting running on the treadmill in that gym overlooking the memorial because
Right.
and now we have Mamdani, right? And it really does take one generation to forget everything.
Where do you think the leak happened in this country? When do you think they came in? I mean, I have my thoughts on it also. I mean, I feel during the Obama time is when it really started leaking and getting all this more radicalized over a slow period of time. Do you feel
Yes.
is that what
I would
you
agree with that. Yeah, I think under Obama, you mean Barack Hussein Obama, our first
right?
gay president.
I love when
Yeah,
you say that. Yeah,
yeah, it's my favorite. It's like I have to say his name with that. There's no,
yeah.
it's my tick. But I know I agree with you. I remember, I know this is silly, but my friends in college and high school laughed at me because at the time I was saying that Obama was trying to cancel Thanksgiving. And if you notice, even today, as soon as Halloween is over in all the stores, everything changes to Christmas, which is obviously
Right,
Christian, but it's also like kind of, at this point, like this like national holiday
right.
and like
They
a lot of
skip
it's not as
Thanksgiving.
it's like religious and not, but it like skips Thanksgiving because the man
Correct.
just hated America, that there's just like no thing. Like it used to be that you'd go to CVS and there was like Thanksgiving decorations. And by someone could say, yes, obviously maybe they decided that like for economical purposes, like for whatever revenue, like it made more sense to do Christmas earlier. But I just remember under Obama just like passing over Thanksgiving and everything just kind of getting rushed through. And like he did, I mean, Dinesh D'Souza at the time wrote a very good analysis on Obama's like anti it was like anti colonialization, anti-establishment, of like just basically like ruining the establishment from within. And Obama really felt like the first Trojan horse to do that.
Yeah, I honestly think they hate the country. I think the only person that
Yes.
probably hates it more than him would be his husband, Michelle.
And yeah, and you're gonna say that. Yeah. No, and Michelle, the only thing Michelle hates more than America is Barack
And
Obama.
Barack Obama. Like, what happened to their kids? That was, or the plants, we should say. Where are they? They went. They just took off. No more family photos. No more anything. You don't
I
hear about them.
know.
You still hear about Chelsea. You still hear about, of course, all the Trumps are out there. You hear about all the kids.
It's a good
You,
point. I haven't thought about that. No, you don't hear much. I've seen photos of them. Like one looks better than the other. One kind of
yeah,
looks like a pothead, druggy type,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But you don't see them around. They don't. Maybe they're just staying away. I don't know. But I mean, I'm very happy where the country's at now. I hope it stays this way for a long time. I think we're on the
Yeah.
recovery. It's not going to take 4 years to happen, but it's going to take some time. But I think we're on the recovery. We have to stay there. What about Omar? Do you like her? Do you
Ilhan
like her?
Omar?
What kind of question was that? Do you like her?
Ilhan Omar?
Ilhan
No.
Omar.
No, it's like, I mean, she's so representative of all the problems we have in government right now.
Yeah.
It's funny, like people want to say there's dual loyalty in this country and in government. Like I would say she's a prime example of that. My favorite thing about her, though, of like the lore behind Ilhan Omar, is not even that she married her brother for citizenship so he could get it, and the fact that she's now on her third husband, but she was cheating on her second husband with her current husband while he was her campaign manager. And she was funneling all this campaign money to his consulting firm. And
It's
now they're
insane.
together. And the books of their company went from it had a $30 million valuation. And if people saw that, there was a lot of attention drawn to it. And all of a sudden,
Sure.
oh, the company's not worth anything anymore. It was just an accounting error because, they're not using
Overnight.
Jewish accountants. So I'm sure that's what happened. But
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, the woman is like, it's like beyond, it's like everything that's wrong. It's like corruption, Islam infiltration, everything.
But yet she's still there and no one's doing anything about it. That's what bothers me a little bit about the administration.
Mm-hmm.
They say they're going to do this. They said they're going to do that. They just don't, they haven't done it. No one's went to jail yet at all.
I know.
They're still running around there. That's where I'm a little upset. No one's went to jail yet. And that bothers me.
Yeah. I
wish they
mean,
would
on the one
send
hand,
somebody.
I'd say on the one hand, part of me wonders if they chose to not arrest certain people like Fauci, because they wanted the country to just move on and look at the future. Like I thought Trump did a very good job in the campaign. I was worried he was not going to do this, but he didn't talk about 2020, the election, like how he should have won. I was really, because that was a talking point for a long time. And he
Yeah.
just focused on the future. And I was very glad. And I think other people were also happy about that. And it obviously worked. So I wonder if that's part of it. I also just think in general, the right, it's the dog chasing the car, and the dog now, when we caught the car and now we don't know how to drive. And the right, I think sometimes prefers to lose because they just like complaining.
They'd rather lose.
I feel like a victim of my own party, but they'd rather lose because then all they just do is point fingers and they don't actually get things done. And you have to call a spade a spade. The left is very good at governing. And I'm not saying the way they govern is good, but they are effective at governing and pushing their agendas. And the right
Yeah.
is not.
See, I think I think you're right about that, and I noticed like in comedy itself, like edgy comedy, is a difference between political comedy and edgy comedy. Political comedy, either you're a political, I think you should either be a political comic the whole way or an edgy comic the whole way. I feel you have a great mix because you do get political, but you're very edgy. But you can go edgy and not get political, and that's very difficult to do because most political comics will stay on just political only.
Yeah.
But yet edgy, you'll go both ways. How do you feel? If you had I hate the label, but if you had to put yourself in a category of comedy, where would you say it is? I'm edgy. So I'm an edgy comic. What would you put yourself under?
Between edgy and political? Am I allowed to say
No,
cultural?
edgy, political, normal. I mean, you're not normal. I'm not going to say
Not
normal.
normal.
Sorry, I'm not
I'm
gonna say
not
that.
normal. But I mean, it might be wishful thinking, but like I'd like to move into the edgy category. I don't want to be political. I want it to be like the way I've described it to people is I think I have cultural commentary, but it's the kind of jokes that no liberal woman would ever make.
Right.
So I don't think that's political. Like I've even had jokes that are inherently almost liberal, almost left-wing jokes, not right-wing jokes. Like I had a joke about it was during the Winter Olympics and they had the biathlon, which is when you ski and then you shoot a rifle at the end. And America didn't even medal. And I said, I can't believe we didn't medal with the one sport that has a
Right.
gun in it. But I bet we would have gotten gold if the course were in an elementary school.
I agree. Yeah.
And I like don't. That is not a right wing joke. That is just like cultural commentary. So I'd
But it's
say
funny.
that's
Funny
edgy.
is funny.
Funny's
it's-
funny.
Funny is funny. I think I would put you. I would say more edgy, even though
Yeah.
But edgy nowadays happens to be some things that are political. But you don't get too
Yeah.
political. You just talk about things that are in the news. You're edgy.
Yes. But it
And,
really bothers people. There's a club. I told you about it. I have an update for you. I'll tell you after the show.
Yeah.
But a place that we discussed where I was not allowed back because a leftist server was triggered by my presence,
Oh.
and the manager didn't feel like dealing with it, and so they said I wasn't allowed back, and it has been resolved. Not
Has
because
it?
of that, not because of that manager, but because I have an agent now, and the agent went directly to the owner of that club.
Very good.
And the owner
Very good.
said, I don't know why that would be an issue. And so I will be going back. But, and by the way, the person who was triggered, I didn't make any jokes related to their identity, whether they were, whatever their sexual identity, their skin color, whatever. Like none of my jokes had anything to do with them. They
Right.
were triggered by the fact that they saw that I wasn't in their box of wokeness.
Right. You didn't fit in their world. But and I'm not going to mention the club, but I think you and I had this discussion. Is that the club?
Yes.
Okay,
This is
very good.
yes.
Okay, so now
And
you can
for
go.
everyone listening, you should know that
Yeah,
Will said he was not going to go back to
I
stand in
did.
solidarity with me,
Yeah,
which
fuck
is
them.
a real stand-up guy out of just the principle of them, because they didn't say I wasn't funny, because the liberals were laughing. They loved the
Right,
set. The
right,
liberal comics loved the set, but it was the fact that I was told a staff member was offended, and
right.
you're not allowed. Like, how do you work at a comedy store and get
Wrong.
offended?
Yes, it's the worst thing they could have done to do that. And the manager should have never. And I would not go back to the club, and I still might not. I don't know. I just when I
Yeah, the
get
fact
pissed at
that it was
somebody.
even an issue. I had to, so this is the part that people don't see. Like when this is happening, what I'm doing, the fact that I've been banned from a place for months, and it's only because of my social media presence, the fact that I will kick that door down and I will keep
Right.
kicking until it flies off. Like, someone else, you know what 99.9% of other comics would do in my position?
They would have
They
caved.
wouldn't, they wouldn't talk about the things I talk about.
No, no, no way.
They would just hide it. They would hide their politics to just get through
Absolutely.
the door and get their stage time. And I'm not doing that.
But you don't worry about getting blacklisted. Like you don't care, and that's the attitude you have to have. Kathy Griffin, I know Kathy Griffin for many, many, many years. I never liked Kathy. I mean, she was a nice person back in the day when she was normal, somewhat. But she has hate. See, you're not doing it out of
Yeah.
hate. You're just pointing out things that people might be missing.
Yeah.
But she does things out of hate. So I mean, you can't even consider her. I don't consider her anything anymore. But you don't have that in you. You don't go up there, and I think that's where the left world they hate. They're always hating.
Yeah.
They're always bashing. They're always wanting to hurt somebody. We just kind of like we're just sitting there and saying, okay, well, we just say shit, and that's what you
Yes.
do. You're not hurting
Yes.
anybody. You're not going out and protesting somebody's show and throwing a glass in their face. You're just doing your thing.
Yeah. But it's always that way between the left and the right. The left is very good at pressure, right? The left is so good at pressure that they make people feel like in the privacy of a voting booth that they're an evil person. Also, I'm sorry, I don't know if you could hear my washing machine. There is an online trend right
That's
now of
okay.
like laughing that like someone's breaking up with you, but your Samsung washing machine is going off in the
That could be your
background.
that could be the
And
walk-on
and it's
music.
like it sings a song for like 500 minutes when it finishes, and I accidentally timed this poorly. So hopefully you guys can't hear it.
That's okay.
But at
We
least
love
you
it.
know I clean my clothes. Uh,
Very
but
clean.
all to
So
say that like
you're a clean comic too.
I'm a clean comic. Well, it's funny. There's topics I won't talk about.
Oh, me too.
I don't talk about dating. I don't talk about my body. I have one joke I'm working on right now because I just have to address my boobs. And so I have a joke, but it's all about natural diamonds versus lab grown diamonds because I have natural diamonds, but lab grown diamonds are tanking the market. So
Right,
I'm
right.
figuring out that joke right now because I do think it just needs to be addressed at some point. But besides that, I don't talk about my body or my period or sex or like I'm not, and I get nice comments from people saying they appreciate that they could watch my stuff and even it's edgy and like I'll talk about all kinds of topics that are considered taboo, but it's like it's actually clean what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. And you don't curse too much. I would say, the natural, what do you say? There's the natural and then there's what diamonds?
Lab grown.
So there's lab grown, which are a big thing right now. And I've
Yeah.
been a big thing for a long time.
Yeah.
These are a big thing right now. So, I mean, you're being more natural when you're saying you've always been a big thing. So it's almost almost a play on the phrase. But it's like nowadays, there are certain words you can't say. People don't want to say certain words. You got to be careful when you address somebody. Is it he, she, he? We don't know what they are anymore.
Oh,
No one knows there's no identity. Do you think America has lost their identity?
yeah, I think people have, and they're searching for it. And the way they're trying to find it is just by being against people instead of
Yeah.
for something. I think that's
Yeah.
very common right now. And so, like, I'm Jewish,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. And
Mm-hmm.
although it's not obvious, I get a lot of messages from people who, because of the spelling of my first name, they think I'm like their neo-Nazi sympathizer. And they're like, oh, those Jews. And I'm like, thankfully, our enemies are so retarded that it's
Yeah,
like,
they are. They
it
don't.
makes me worry less. But there's a lot of Jew hate right now. There's a lot of anger in this country. And for me, if I were to, people love to talk about like psyops from the CIA and stuff. But like, if I were to run a positive psyop on this country to turn it around, I would just make people happy because all the other problems that we have would go away. I would make them like what we really lost with Jordan Peterson. He's been sick for a while, and so he hasn't been in public talking. And what he pushed was you should get out of your basement, you should iron your shirt, you should just have pride in your job, even if it's a simple job. You should get married and have kids before you think you're ready, and just live a good life, be happy, right?
Live a good life. And I think you do that.
I know, thank you. And that's what I'm trying to do. And I think there are a lot of people, whether it's on the left or the right, and the right has plenty of people right now like Tucker, where they look at people and they say, you should be angry about your station in life, and you should feel like a victim, and you should sit in your mom's basement and sit in your own filth and not improve and not get better and not go to the gym. And that's what they're pushing to the right. And all that is what the left did with wokeness, except they replaced the patriarchy and racism with global elites and Jews to blame. But it's the same game. And so it's just infected both sides. Infection, like the woke mind virus, it started on the left and now it's presenting in a new strain on the right. And I think that's why America's really floundering. And to me, like when people ask me, like, what would I do about Jew hate right now? I'm like, I would not talk about Jews. I would not talk about Israel. I would just try to help young people in this country, especially disaffected young men, feel purpose and just pride in their in a regular day-to-day life.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, very good, Aaron. Is it Aaron or Aaron?
Aaron.
Is it Aaron? But do people pronounce? They don't know how. Do they say Aaron or they didn't?
No, people mispronounce it all the time. You know, maybe you could answer this question for us on air right now. I'm opening for someone this weekend. I just got a call yesterday, and I've a bunch of shows this weekend. And I thought about talking about my name, but I've been advised that it's kind of like an amateurish thing to do, is talk about your name on stage. But people still don't know how to say my name, and I do kind of want to talk about it because no one gets my name, and I have a black girl spelling, which lets me get away with everything with liberals because they're all very respectful to me because they think I'm like ethnic. And then, but because I'm white, then I get away with all the other things. And
I would say you can say it. Don't spend too much time on it, though.
I know. It's true.
I would say, I would open up with this is my name, done, let's move on.
I know.
Just in case they got it wrong. I want you to know who the fuck I am. See, I curse too much. That's my thing. But,
I used to curse more. Now I curse less now that I'm doing comedy, which is funny.
Yeah, I notice you're edgy, but you don't curse. Very hard to do. You can actually work a cruise ship. Because,
I don't think my people are on cruise ships.
Well, it depends where you're cruising. I mean,
it depends.
Maybe Margaritaville. Maybe. What do you got planned for yourself? What's going on now in your world? What do you got going on? So you got an agent now. Very, very nice. So happy to hear that.
Thank you.
Is this someone we could talk about, or you don't want to mention who the agent is?
I can. I mean, people can. Generally, I'd say the best thing though is because I don't want to like overwhelm his inbox with people.
Right.
Like the best way to be in touch about things and to see my tour dates is to go to AaronWexler.com. And if you know how to spell my name, it's very easy to find me, but it's ARYNNE. But you could find my tickets there. We're adding new shows. Because this has all happened so suddenly, the calendar for a lot of places was already full. And so we're getting dates where I can. Like right now I have a sold out show in Tampa, and I have so many people if you're listening, you're from Tampa, I'm sorry. I know I have like the number of messages I've gotten would sell out like 2 or 3 more shows.
Yeah, you're going to do well in Tampa.
Yeah.
Are you in Tampa or are you in Wesley Chapel? Are you going to? He has 2 clubs.
It's the Tampa location.
It's the Tampa. Now I live in Tampa. I live in Tampa.
Oh, that's right. Well, maybe we'll get a seat for you if you're in town.
I might. Well, I don't. I'll just maybe do a pop in. I'm sure I could just pop right in. But I might come by and say hello to you that day, unless I'm somewhere. But I definitely. I live in the Tampa area. I love.
That's
Tampa.
so nice.
Yeah, and you live in Florida too, and you're between Florida, New York, LA. You're everywhere.
Yeah, I'm everywhere right now. I am based in South Florida, but these days I don't see my home that often because I'm traveling a lot. But yeah, we're adding shows all the time. Best way is to sign up on my for my alerts.
AaronWexler.com.
At AaronWexler.com. Yeah, and there's you can message me, and there's PR@AaronWexler.com for like private bookings. But guys, I'm not cheap, so you can't book me for like your mom's 50th birthday. Like it's not for events like that.
You can do it, but they're gonna have to pay.
They're gonna have to pay. Yeah. And it might not be worth it for like your mom's birthday, Hey,
you never know. Maybe if your the mom really loves you that much and would love to have you there, they'll pay. They're get some big money in South Florida. And what about so he's got your personal appearances. He's managing personal appearances. That I'm assuming. Are you going to get into the film and television world? Is that something other than like film and TV, like sitcoms world? Are you trying to get into something like that? Is acting in your future?
I hadn't even thought of that. It's the first time it's actually not the first, it's the second time I was asked the question. I had some fans of mine that are people I'm also fans of because I've watched them who are in LA. When they followed me, they asked me if I wanted to be on the Netflix show Nobody Wants This in a
Yeah.
cameo.
Yeah.
But I hate that show. And I said I'd only be on it if I could correct the record on all the things they got wrong about Judaism. And so
Okay.
they were like, yeah, we're going to pass on this cameo, which I expected. I basically said, fuck no to that.
Right.
So I
In
do
other
curse, but
words,
I was like, fuck no, will I do that show?
you made it
Unless
very
like,
hard for them to say yes.
yeah, I made it very hard for them to say yes. That's a good way to say it. Yes,
Yeah.
that's
If
right.
they
No,
would have said yes, you would have said okay, and you would have done your thing.
yeah. No, but no,
But
at this point, I have a lot of work to do. I'm getting the reps in. I'm trying, and something because I know the title of this is How Not to Bomb.
how not to bomb? Yeah.
But something that I'm embracing is that I'm going to bomb. And what I like showing people, I'd rather not bomb. I'd rather make people laugh and have the
Right.
jokes land and have them be totally entertained the whole time. But I know that's not realistic and that's not always going to happen. But what I'm doing is pretty different than how most comedians are approaching comedy, where people will work on their act for years and they don't release anything. That's why crowd work is so big right now because it doesn't, give away your jokes. And I have surplus mindset, not scarcity mindset. I'm gonna write more jokes. Sometimes, like I know when I'm working on a joke that I need to work on more. I want to improve it. I want to hold on to it. But I just posted a joke last week. It went over so well with the audience, and their reaction was so outrageous that it was my first time ever telling it on a stage. And I clipped it, posted it online, it went viral, and it was like my first time really saying the words out loud.
Yeah.
And the point is that I'm okay with being imperfect, and I'm okay with taking the risk, and I take risks in big places like on big stages, opening for big people, and it's telling the joke for the first time because
Right.
I'm not here to play it safe, and I'm always working on stuff for the people who are there. I'm not going to just give them my canned 10 minutes. It's that it's always changing. That's why I often am holding a piece of paper, have a notebook, because I'm totally changing the order and I'm adding new lines
As you
all the
should.
time. And yeah,
A
and I
lot.
think that there's something really honorable about
Yeah.
public pursuit. And that's all of comedy. What we're doing is very public. But I think it's good if people see that I fall flat on my face sometimes.
Of course, it
That's
makes you.
okay.
It shows you that you're a real person. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of comedians starting out in the business, and I write about it in my book, How Not to Bomb. They start out much like the first day they go on stage at an open mic, they do very well, and they go, "Oh my God, that was great! I was so excited, I couldn't believe I did well, actually. Oh, and they love me." And then the second time they go on stage, they bomb, and there's a reason for that. There's a method because the second time they're trying to be the comedian. The first time they were themselves. So I say, so once they start trying to be the comedian, they start trying to act, look, feel, walk like, move the mic. What do I do? Hey, Mr. Comedian, what you do? And they're not being themselves. And it takes about 10 years for them to find themselves again.
Yeah.
So they lose themselves after the first night because they want to be Mr. Comedian or Mrs. Comedian. And then all after that, they can't figure out why they're bombing for another 10 years because they haven't found themselves. They lost themselves the first night. So always stay who you are and remember why you're there. Be who you are the first time, not later. Don't try to be anything you're not.
Yeah.
And you're gonna bomb. You're gonna have nights where you bomb, but you have to decide you don't. I just don't want to do it anymore. I decided I was never gonna bomb again back in probably '91. I said I'm done. I'm done bombing, and I just gonna do what I do. And I don't see you bombing though. I don't. I've watched videos of you and stuff, and I don't see you where you can bomb. I mean, what do you consider bombing?
Well, it's tough. I mean, I had a set recently and I just felt like it was not a good set. And to me, that was a bomb. And I had a friend in the audience and I had a camera guy, and they both were like, that's not bombing. Like, people did, like, it's not like there was no laughter, but just like
Right.
there was silence where there should have been laughter. It's like awkward, like just didn't connect with the crowd. And and it's funny though, because I've had nights where I'm at some shitty bar in Miami doing stand up, but my mindset is let's just go and have fun, and no one laughs because it's a lot of things in Miami, especially. It's like it's awkward, it's empty, so it's like it's hard to get people like really laughing out loud because
Right.
when you're in like a small group, it's like they're like nervous to like actually laugh. So it's one of those nights where like every comic goes up and it's like pretty quiet. And I went
Right.
up and it's pretty quiet, but I just had a great time and I thought I was funny. And so like I didn't feel like it was a bomb, even though like there wasn't that much laughter because like I was having a good time. So I
Right.
do think for me the mindset is definitely like, did I think I was comfortable and I was doing my best? And then
Right.
like if I think I'm comfortable, then it doesn't really matter what the laughter is. Like I've had jokes where I say it the first time, it gets no response, silence. I used to have a
Right.
sort of a ritual. You know, the guys up at Sadman and Boca. So,
Sure.
and I think they just closed. I don't know if hopefully they reopen because I know there was like construction and stuff. But I would go to Sadman up in Boca to practice my sets before going to do a big set in New York. And I would go into that room that everyone told me was a great room, like a kill box or whatever. Like you could just go and like have a crazy set. And I'd go in and just get like nothing, like no response, barely any laughter. It was just like bomb.
Right.
And then
But
I'd
you were
go to New York.
expecting to have a crazy set.
Yeah, no, it wasn't even that. People told me after, oh, that's a great
Oh,
room. It's
okay.
like so easy to make it come alive. And I'm like, all right, well, like I didn't do that. And I would practice a set. And I'm like, great, I bombed there. Now I'm gonna have a great set in New York. And I'd go to New York and it would have an amazing set where people were like falling off their chairs. And so it's like you just have to like just because you say it once or twice or even 5 times. I've never had that, but I've heard from other comics, you know, like that joke bombed
Sure.
5 times before it became a hit. And so you just have to have confidence
Right.
in your material to know that it's funny, even if people don't laugh right away.
Every 10 people that laugh at you in a room, so 100 people, 10 people laugh, you're killing. Because every 10 people is 100 people in the theater. So you figure, or a big setting, every 10 people. So if your joke works in front of 10 people, you're going to kill somewhere where there's a huge crowd. That's always been the rule in
I'll
comedy.
keep it in
Every
mind. I have
10.
higher expectations than that, though.
Well, of course, because you set those high expectations.
Yeah.
You're very confident. You're very sure of yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's where you don't ever change that part of you. I mean, it's nice to be. I always say, be humble, but they should fucking know. But be
Yeah.
humble, but they should fucking know. That's what I always tell. So, I had a great time talking to you tonight. Did you enjoy doing How Not to Bomb? I hope so. I mean, I was anticipating this show.
No, it was terrible, and I will never return. No, this was a lot of fun, and very thankful to count you as a friend in this
Yes, hundred
space.
percent. And
And
I'm really I'm so excited about watching your journey in
thank
this
you.
world. Now that I'm kind of semi-retired and I'm watching, I'm excited about certain comedians. You're one of them for sure. And I get excited when I see something refreshing out there, and I think that's where you are right now. And I get excited every time I see the followers are up and up. One minute is 750, then it's 8, and then she's gonna hit that million mark soon. And I watch it, and I watch your act, and I watch your set, and then I just love it. I just love what you're doing as a person, and you're the person that really deserves it. So I mean, there are
Oh,
people out
thank
there that
you.
fake it. I don't see fake in you at all, and I think you're gonna keep on going.
I wish I knew how to fake it. It would help me sometimes.
Well,
But
men can't fake it. Women can fake it.
yeah. I don't know what you're talking about. What?
So
That's a
you
great
got the
memory.
agent. You move it. You're doing the agent thing now, which is great. Personal
Yes.
appearances. You don't know about film and television yet, but you're gonna think
No,
about
yeah,
it.
the agent, and that's us for yeah, the agents for like shows we're
Yeah,
booking. So
personal
like we're
appearances.
like because of all the demand for Tampa, we're gonna be booking a weekend at Side Splitters probably in the fall or winter. We're figuring out dates. So things are happening. I'm working on a longer form show. Like we're thinking about ways to do that. I have some ideas that'll probably come after the summer, but the best way to keep up is to just follow me on Instagram and
Instagram
see the updates. Yeah,
and of course AaronWexler.com.
that's right.
You're not the Facebook too much. You don't do the Facebook thing too
No,
much.
I have a lot of impersonators on Facebook, and it's something that I truly just don't have bandwidth to deal with right now. So a lot of
Okay.
people are making some good ad money off of me right now.
Okay.
I am on YouTube. I am trying.
TikTok.
I'm not on TikTok. I'm kind technically there, but I got super shadow banned when I first started posting for saying things that like there are two genders in the world. Like it was crazy, and so they shadow
Yeah.
banned me really fast, and I'm in TikTok prison. But I'm also starting on Snapchat, but I've been really bad. I haven't not really been uploading, but I was in their offices and they're trying to get me to post. So, but I think anyone listening here, Instagram and YouTube are probably your safe and
The-
Twitter. I'm big
And
on Twitter
Twitter.
as well.
Well, this airs, of course, is on YouTube live, and Facebook Live actually. And then it's going to be the rebroadcast, which will air tonight. It'll be on Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, and all that. I'll send you the links. And I was so happy you did the show. I really appreciate it. You have no idea, really, I do. And I'm really enjoying being your friend and watching you grow and go. And you're gonna go nuts. You're gonna be like, what's gonna happen to you very soon is gonna be insane. So be prepared. You think you went viral once? Wait till you go second. You know.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Everyone should know you're a very good mentor, a very good friend. He always picks up the phone. Always.
Thank you. And I always will. All right, everybody. How Not to Bomb with Aaron Wexler. I really appreciate you being here today. We'll talk soon.
Yeah. I'll see
Thank you so
soon.
much. All right. Have a good one. Enjoy.
Bye.
Bye bye now.